Hey, alright, so first I'm gonna help you work on the questions about the matrices. So this is how you would define a matrix, the dimensions of a matrix. So the way the dimensions, when we say like 2 by 3, 4 by 6, whatever, we're saying how many rows do we have by how many columns we have. So this number in the front would be the rows, then we put the times sign, then we put the number of columns. So if we just look at this regular matrix, um, the rows are like this, from left to right. How many of those do you have, right? So here, this is one row, and then here, it's another one, right? So that's our second row. So we have one row, two rows. If we had another set over here, that would be three rows. But for this one, we just have two. Put a time sign. Now, how many columns do we have? Columns are from up to down, right? So imagine um, like um, the Greeks or something. A column would be like something like this. Uh, right? I don't know. So that's a good way, I guess, to remember it, that it's something going from up and down. It's not left to right. It's not horizontal. It's vertical. So here, AC, these numbers are our columns. So here we have one column, right, from going up to down. So that's our first column. Here, this set, BD, would be our second column. So we have one column, two columns. So we just go write 2 here. So our dimensions is, we say this is 2 by 2, or like this, 2 by 2 matrix. So rows, columns. So if we look for I, the first part of the question, the dimensions of G, and we had G was this, right? We had G was 3, negative 3, 0, 0, 1, and 4. Okay, so dimensions, right? So let's just have it here. So here, we're going to put our rows, and here we're going to put our columns. The number, right? And we just put that times multiplication sign by in the middle of them. So how many rows do we have? We have 1, 2, 3 rows, right? So this will be our first, second, third row. So from 3 to 0, that's 1, 2, 3. So all we have to do is just write 3. And how many columns we have? 1, 2 columns, and that's it. So this is just a 3 by 2. So the first one is row, and that's a column. So there's 3 by 2. Next, we had what's the second column Well, he said, like look for the second column of B, and I guess you could list the elements, right? List the elements. So I'm just gonna write B here again, and B is 5, 8, 4, negative 3, 4, 3, negative 8, 7, negative 1. Alright, so that's a 7 here. So go to our second column, right? So remember, up to down. This is our first column, second, third. So this is what we want. We want the second column of B, and we want the elements. So the elements are just negative 3, 4, and 3. So our elements are just, you can say negative 3 and 3, and that's it. Next is the third row of G, right? So I'll just write it here. They want you to go to the third row of G, and again write the elements. So since I think we started off with G from the beginning, so they said they want the row, the third row. So I already listed it here, right? That's the first row, the second row, and this is the third row. So what are the elements? 0 and 4, and that's it. So the third row of G elements, we just put elements are 0, 4. And you're finished with that one. Now, they ask, is G a square matrix? Alright, now to have a square matrix, right, let's say there's something in here, there's something in here, here, and here, right? In order to have a square matrix, the numbers here, the amount of rows by the amount of columns have to be equal. So rows equals columns. So if I had this, right, if we had like this one, this is 2 rows by 2 columns. So that would be a square matrix. It could work for if we had 3 rows, 3 columns, 4 rows, 4 columns, like that. So now they're asking for G. If we go back to G here, right? First, what are the dimensions of G? I'll just write it over here. How many rows do they have? 1, 2, 3. So we have 3 rows by how many columns? 1, 2. So this is just a 38 by 2. Now, these are not equal. This is 3 equals 2. It is not a square matrix. So the answer is G is a square matrix. You just write no. It's 46. It's 3 by 2. So you just explain that by saying because the rows are not equal to the columns. And next is find the dimensions of F